goodness. Hold on a second. Let me just get myself sorted, you guys. So we're going to get right into the comic book read. I'm very late in doing this, but it will be worth it, I promise. I'm not going to have any music just to avoid the copyright. But welcome you guys to Supergirl Reads You Guys comic books, and we are going to be reading a Superman comic book today, basically about the space age. And it's cool because it takes place in a separate kind of universe. Oh, thanks for that, Donald. Welcome to the Cosmic Comic Book Club with Supergirl. I don't have my cape on today because it's a little warm in here today, but welcome to the live. Oh my gosh, my plant is in the way. Hold on. Just move this to the side and then we can get right into it. Yeah, Donald, thanks again for the gift. Let me just make sure that this is the appropriate volume, and then we are going to get into it. I hope you guys are doing beautifully wherever you are in the cosmos. Lots of love from Supergirl. So on Tuesday, we have today is Tuesday. We're actually, no, it's now Wednesday. Dr. Coldson, yay, hi, welcome. So let me just mirror this. I'm going to show you what we're going to be reading today. So we are going to be reading Superman Space Age. So I actually have not read the entirety of this story yet, but I'm going to interface this story with the Legion of Superheroes because this world is like, what is it? DC world. It's world 2. And if you guys have read, I'm going to bring this back up. I have all my DC stuff with me today. Multiversity and then Crisis on Infinite Earth. So, Opie, oh my gosh, don't knock over everything. So I own these two, right? So on Thursday for the new moon, I'm going to have a Cosmic Comic Book Club meeting. So I'm going to be doing I'm going to do a reading of Crisis on Thursday as Supergirl with some of my favorite parts in this story. And then we'll do an analysis after of all the crises as it comes to how it reshapes the multiverse. And we're going to look at it from a mythological, esoteric perspective. So maybe reading too much into it, but hey, if I've decoded something, then I don't know, maybe there's a there in terms of how we shift into a golden timeline, that kind of situation, all about that good superhero stuff in this realm. So welcome you guys to the Cosmic Comic Book Club. I'm Supergirl, Kara Zor-El, the last daughter of Krypton. I'm going to be doing a read from the space age, and through that, and Dr. Coldson, hi Dr. Coldson 420, welcome to the live. Sometimes I have little dances, sometimes I have other things, but we're just gonna go right into this read. I got this one. This is actually from the library. To those of you guys who say comic books are expensive, some are, especially if you're getting like this book, Crisis on Infinite Earths, initially came out in, serialized back in 1985. So you could get like each issue for like, say $2. But if you're anything like me, and you're reading like trilogies of books and stuff, I love starting right in the middle. Like, like even Lord of the Rings, I like always book 2. Movie 2 is always my favorite, even like it with the Dark Knight and that kind of situation. It's all over the screen. What the heck? What are you saying? I love the library. I have a fun story about Legion of Superheroes before we begin the space age read. I don't know. Let me see. Joseph, it's all over the screen. I don't know what you mean by that. Okay, so welcome. We're going to talk a little about Legion of Superheroes first. So if you guys are not familiar with Supergirl's many origin stories, one of them consists of her being Linda Lee. Okay, Supergirl's got numerous origin stories, but I'm going to go off the top of my head of the one that I'm going to talk about in the context of the read we're going to do tonight, which is Space Age Superman. And then later on this week, I'm going to introduce you guys to the Birds of Prey and Batgirl and Black Canary from the DC Bombshells universe, which also deals with, I don't think it's this world exactly, but kind of like a similar, what should I call it? More steampunk, like a steampunk DC universe is what I call DC Bombshells mixed with like pinup girls. So I've been working on finding girls to be my fellow Birds of Prey because I can't play every character, right? So I have a few girls that we're gonna probably coordinate some videos and stuff like that. So please stay tuned for all of that kind of fun content stuff. And Dr. Coltson, where are you? And I love the 420 in your name. I also love Miss Mary Jane. I love Mother Nature a lot. You know what I mean. I don't know what you mean. You have a calming librarian voice. Sweet, sassy, molassy. The Barbara Gordon in me appreciates that, so thank you. Oh, yes, and we rewatched a movie the other day called Doctor Sleep, which is basically, I guess, like the non-official follow-up to The Shining, which also deals with Stephen King's Welcome to Derry series and, you know, the concept of mind reading, mind control, telepathy, telekinesis. So Stephen King, I don't really read a lot of Stephen King. I don't really read a lot of horror, but I do enjoy horror movies. And Stephen King's also written stories that are not specifically horror, right? Like Shawshank Redemption and these other stories that exist in the Stephen King universe, but they're all tied together. Now, when we think of like DC, I don't know why I'm tying this to Stephen King in such a way, but it's because the worlds that are created in the imagination have anchor points in like this reality, right? So, Aristotle. Oh my gosh, lovely name, Aristotle. Aristotle is one of my favorite philosophers. I would love to name, I have this dream, you guys, of getting into falconry, like having my own like falcon going hunting, and I would name my falcon Aristotle. I knew you were. Aries. Oh, another great name too, Aries. Dreams, you gotta chase them, right? A dream is just a wish that a heart makes, right? Am I from tomorrow? I am currently in Toronto right now, but I'm originally from the prairies of, you know, the prairie provinces. I'm from Winnipeg, Manitoba. And I used to be so ashamed of that, right? But I'm really proud of that now. So I moved to the big city in like 2007. So I've been here a while in Toronto. And so I've seen a change. You know, I fell in love with like electric circus and much music when I was growing up in Winnipeg. And so when I first moved out here, I chased those dreams, right? I I have been in like music videos and like I kind of hide that side of myself because I went into corporate. And when you work in corporate, I was there for the change. You know, like back in the day when you had social media, it wasn't kind of a big deal. But now when you have like a job, they like want to know your Facebook and stuff. So you're like, oh dear, I can't let you know that I was a go-go dancer before. That's going to make things really awkward. But of course, like I used to model and stuff as well. So that kind of stuff came out as well in terms of fitness. But usually with fitness, it's a little bit more accepted to be in a tiny bikini than in in other industries. But okay, thank you for following Aristotle. Thank you for saying that. But you know what? I have a few doppelgangers out there with my energy signature. So I would like to say like I love Supergirl a lot. I'll tell you guys why I love her character most of all out of all of my cosplays. Oh, Aries. Great name. Are you an Aries too? That'd be kind of sweet. I have a thing for Aries people in general, male and female. Matthew, hello. Hi, Laura. Hi. Thank you for following. Six Hard, maybe I look like I'm from your dreams. I have more on, I created a custom character the other day, you guys, a custom superhero character. You know what her name is? Dr. Dream. More on her later. No, I'm afraid not. No worries, tattoos are great. Oh, thank you for that. Someone was asking me the other day on my live, how are the tattoo needles able to pierce my skin if I'm Kryptonian, right? So I'm like, well, I'm obviously going to get tattoos on planets with red suns, right? Because Kryptonians don't have powers on their home planet of Krypton. And we're going to talk, yes, Dr. Dream. Yes, I've made her. And her alter ego is Alice Estrella. Right? So I'm going to work out on her backstory as well. And I have some stories on the star cluster of the Pleiades, the Seven Sisters. Any of you guys who have had dreams that deal with that, I will talk about that tomorrow. That is not tonight's talk. Tonight's talk, I'll talk about origin story of Supergirl. We're going to talk about the Legion of Superheroes. We're going to talk about how Crisis on Infinite Earth and the death of Supergirl in this story reframed how we look at reality itself, right? Because there's this idea that there is no sweet without the sour, right? So you don't have darkness without light. You don't have heroes without villains, right? So we need to also realize that, like, where we are standing in it, right? And be aware of, like, where other people are standing, how we may appear to them. Now, Supergirl, let's go back to her origin story, the reason why I love her so much too. So, first of all, my background is I'm a mixed race, right? And I was born in 1985, so at a time when there weren't a lot of, like, mixed race babies around. So my dad is South African, and my mom is Filipino. But my dad is like a colored South African. So my grandmother, who's turning 100 this year, and her birthday is coming up. So I'm actually going back to Winnipeg to do an interview with her about stories from 1925 when, like, the world was a different place, because all we have in this world are our stories, right? So the stories that you keep close to your heart, those are the ones that matter, right? It doesn't really matter what other people think. In the end, like, what matters to you does matter most of all. It doesn't mean you don't have respect for other people in terms of relationships and stuff. But anyways, let's keep going. So Supergirl's origin story, when she was created, so fun fact, the creators of Superman, Joe Shuster and Jerry Siegel, are not the same creators of Supergirl and Crypto. Superman, when he was created, it's kind of fun because I'm in Toronto, right? And Joe Shuster is actually from Toronto. So that's such a cool, like, Metropolis is actually supposed to be Toronto in a lot of ways. But this idea of templating major cities, and also this concept of, like, small town, country boy, farm boy with, like, good values and morals who goes into the big city to become a reporter. Now, when I first moved to Toronto, I had it in my head that I wanted to be a reporter, because to me, most superheroes actually had alter egos of being reporters. Think about it. Lois Lane, who Superman loves, is an investigative reporter. Clark Kent is a reporter, right? Even Kara Zor-El in many comic books, she's also a reporter, even though she kind of works as, like, a gossip columnist. Hey, Danny Moneyman, welcome to the live. Hey, birthday twin. Team Taurus, baby. I hope you're well. So we're going to be doing a space age read in, like, 5 minutes. I'm just doing some preamble because I'm actually not in this. Supergirl's not in this story. However, it deals with a very specific, hold on, let me see if I can find it where they call it out. The end, I'm going to get to the ending, though, with you guys, because the ending's pretty trippy, and I think can give us a lot of perspective as to, like, you know, the nature of our reality. Because, like, here, this is the universe that it takes place in. Earth Universe 832654-Z. So when we talk about the crisis on infinite Earths, right? Lots of worlds died. And in Spider-Man, I would agree, Corey, that Spider-Man is also a reporter as well. There's a, very practical reason as to why superheroes would be reporters too, right? Because they're supposed to be on the cusp of news. So they're going to be able to help frame the stories that deal with their vigilante heroism, right? None of the Bat family have people in the press, right? So it's kind of hard to help have the storyline view you favorably as well, right? And also too, I find that in Marvel, like even Fantastic Four that came out, they don't really have secret identities, right? You're like a celebrity as well. So let's see here. Matt, Metropolis, let me see here, was always Los Angeles, New York in the comics, but Los Angeles in the 1950s TV show. Oh, Matt, yes, thank you for that intel. Yes, agreed. And it's kind of funny too, like Jameson being all like angry at Spider-Man, like, get me those Spider-Man, why are you making him a hero? But there's also something too, I find, for everyone being a reporter in their own lives, right? Seekers of the truth, right? As we're going from Scorpio into Sagittarius, astrologically and cosmically in the cosmic clock, we're moving from a place of, this really dark, shadowy spot in ourselves. Let's say a dark night of the soul, multiple. And then on the other end of it, you can birth a new you. But that doesn't mean like throwing out the baby with the bathwater kind of thing. It means that you can take the lessons from past versions of you into this newest incarnation, right? By honoring the past versions of yourself. When it comes to Supergirl, one of her origin stories is that her alternative name is Linda Lee. And this is interesting, right? Because Supergirl's alter egos are like Linda Lee, Kara Danvers, Kara, I don't think she ever goes by Kara Lee or Linda Danvers sometimes. Interesting point, Captain Marvel, her name is Carol Danvers, her alias, right? So that's a fun little tag there too about Danvers and Danvers. Also with Superman, his birthday is supposed to be leap year or like February 29th. He's supposed to be born on like a leap day, right? The reason is that I think it was because they were saying that was supposed to explain how Superman wasn't so old. But regardless, I think it makes sense that he would be born on that day too. That's Pisces. He's the last son of Krypton, so you're kind of like representing the consciousness of an entire species, right? It's why they killed off Supergirl in Crisis on Infinite Earths, because they did want to make her, like Superman, the only survivor of Krypton and have the weight of that in it. And Pikachu, I just wanted to say hi and thank you for the heart me. Let's see here, Corey. Thank you for that. I agree. Spider-Man is definitely definitely one of the reporters as well. So, we are in the age of Aquarius. Yeah, some people might say that we started in the 60s. But I would say I like to say like the turning of the ages is like DJing, like my hubby when he's been teaching me DJing, when you're moving from one track to another track. It's not like there's dead silence in between, right? It's not like for a time, both songs will be playing at the same time. So as we have like Age of Aquarius coming in, you have the last beats of Pisces leaving, and also like realizing that like it's not, as I said, no, don't throw it all away. There's lessons in that age that we need to take into an age of enlightenment, whatever that looks like, right? Yes, overlapping. It's like how, if you've ever played VR games, my favorite VR game in Toronto back, oh, this is so much fun. They had a VR thing here called, I want to call it like the black hole, but it wasn't the void. It's called the void. And they had this game, Star Wars game, this VR Star Wars game, and it was literally the coolest thing. Like the lava felt hot. Darth Vader showed up and I was like screaming my head off. Anyways, who's watched me play Halo knows I get really into video games. I get really into anything, actually. Like anytime I'm involved, I'm watching a movie, I'm just like into it, right? So I cannot be any other way. Let's see here. And thank you for sharing. So back to Supergirl's origin story. I'm going to share with you guys what I know as one of her origin stories that I ascribe to as my own canon. And this is where I feel like comic books and stories like, hold on, Multiversity here by Grant Morrison, where they talk about a mapping, a cosmology of how the worlds work, right? And so, let me see here, right? You have the different Earths. So you have, what do you call it? The multiverse, right? And how it kind of looks like a nursery, and each one is kind of like its own bubble. And so if you have your own universe as a bubble, it's also like interacting with other bubbles too, like crystals or like yeah, like crystals all reflecting off each other. Oh no. I hope your phone updated all well. I have a fun story about no, actually it's not a fun story about updating. I used to have a MacBook Air, and I love this MacBook Air. I had it for forever, and then I did an update to it, and the update bricked my computer. It killed it. And then I tried to call Apple for like support, and they're like, "Oh, because you have a legacy model, I'm gonna only be able to spend 30 minutes on the phone with you." I'm like, "What? What is this? What happened to keeping things for however long and just replacing the parts and stuff like that, right?" We'll see. Let's see. Okay, so I don't have those. So Multiversity is a good one. It's by Grant Morrison. There's a really cool perspective in here because the comic book acts as like a manual and like a key as to how you like solve the puzzle of saving reality, right? Another cool story that does that is, like for example, Doctor Strange in the Marvel multiverse thing, right? When he projects ahead in the future and he looks at all the possibilities and he finds that one possibility where you win, where we win. And so certain decisions in like this now moment may seem like losses or fails, but they're really to place us in a position to have a win, that kind of thing. Mama Jean's coming back tomorrow, actually, because tomorrow's Wednesday. Well, today is Wednesday. So Jean will be back tomorrow. We're going to talk a little bit about your neurotransmitters, your hormones, right? And the idea of like body telepathy, right? Or like even seeing without your eyes. Like when you can sometimes feel like, for example, today, before I get into the read, I didn't tell you guys the origin story. I'll tell you my story first and then we'll read. So I was like doing dishes in the kitchen, and no, I was making something. I was making a drink, making a little coffee in the kitchen. And my hubby's very like silent, right? So he like comes up behind me and like starts to like touch the dishes, and it scares the crap out of me. So I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like why are you sneaking up on me like that?" He's like, "I wasn't sneaking up on you. You should be able to sense me." I'm like, "Yeah, but were you looking at me?" Like I can always tell when someone's like, like someone's in the corner like staring. Like how you can feel someone observing you. Like when we used to work at the gym, I could always tell when he entered the building. I just knew, right? But he's like, "I have a trick with you, Rachel, though I was looking down. I wasn't looking at you before I came." I'm like, "Well, why are you doing that then? You're like sneaking up on me." You're actually sneaking up on me. He's like, "You should trade your senses." I'm like, "Come on now." But anyways, bringing this back to Supergirl's origin story, I relate to Kara Zor-El because I never really related to other kids really growing up. I was really blessed to have like three best friends. My best friend Rachel, we met on the first day of kindergarten. She was like, "What's your name?" I said Rachel, and she said, "Oh, Dre, thank you for that. Appreciate it." Great. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Thank you. But yeah, the first day of kindergarten, she asked me, she's like, "What's your name?" And I said Rachel, and she's like, "My name's Rachel too." do you want to be best friends? And I said yes. And we're still best friends. Well, not best friends. But we're still friends to this day. But in my graduation yearbook, I remember she wrote to me just like, 13 years later, we're still besties. But you know what? I'm a Taurus, so I'm kind of like a friend for life kind of person. I don't, I tend to stick by people and have loyalty, that kind of situation. But Supergirl's origin story, I relate to her just because like relating to people was always tough for me. So this is why dance was very important, because in dance, in body movement, all of us moving in synchronicity. Fun fact, if you move in sync with someone else, you actually release an oxytocin, a hormone, right? Which is the bonding hormone, which is like what it gets released when mummies have babies, right? The mom and baby have that oxytocin. So, the good part of oxytocin, of course, it's called like the love hormone. It's all about like love and bonding, but it does get blamed a lot for things like jealousy and tribalism and like what's mine is mine, and like being jealous of other people, like loving your man kind of situation. It comes from like a lot of those hormonal attributes to oxytocin. However, we are more than our hormones. We are more than chemical reactions, right? So it's just knowing this kind of stuff in us to sometimes parse through things, right? Because sometimes we feel things in the moment, like an emotional charge of something, and it doesn't mean we should act on it right away. We have to like maybe be like, okay, like, is this something that will make sense for like my future self, right? I'm full of donuts and hormones. Some people can just like walk that path though and be cool about it. I second guess myself constantly, so it can be paralyzing. But that's why I put on Supergirl, because she's really a symbol of strength for me. And so whenever I need like that inner strength, I like put Kara on, I put Supergirl on, because I went to this library here in Toronto the other day called hope I can find it with my sketches. I know you're here somewhere. There you are. There. You're in New York City. Scrapes. You know what? I visited New York City for a summer when I graduated from, was it high school? Oh my gosh, all the years are blending together. Yes, it was around that time. Yes, it was around high school. So I went to New York to visit my best friend who was dancing for Alvin Ailey in New York for a summer. There was a heat wave at the time, I remember, and we stayed in a house in Harlem with just dancers, and it was amazing. I got to like live the life of what it was like to be an artist in New York, and I got to see Tarzan on Broadway, which is amazing. But New York City was amazing. Like I, of course, went after, like, I got to see Ground Zero and that kind of stuff when I was there, and I felt, like, interesting energies around that area. But New York City is, something magical about that place. Zaylee, hey. Who's the daddy in your case, Gwen Stacy? I have some stuff later. Did you know that Supergirl went on a date with Nightwing once? Because Batman and Superman, of course, are friends, even though they don't get along. Clark and Bruce do respect each other. And I think, so Supergirl and Nightwing go on a date, and then the way the comic book runs, I need to find this comic book. Supergirl's talking to Superman, and Nightwing's talking to Batman about how, like, bad the date went. What does Kara say? She says that she doesn't like the person that she is when she's around Nightwing, for some reason. Oh, I wonder. Okay, you read that one. Scrapes. Can you message me what issue that is exactly so I can get it? Hey, Voice of One. So this is the library. Wait. Oh my gosh, I thought I put it in here. Where I went. No, come on. Let's see. All my little notebooks. I feel like... That's weird. Anyways, I went to a library here in Toronto, which is like a science fiction fantasy reference library, and I went through issue 1. Well, not issue 1. It was like an archived version of Legion of Superheroes. And in Legion of Superheroes, actually, I want to show you guys my little chibi. This is my alchemy sheet, my alchemy cheat sheet. And then, Master Chief, who I love. I like to sketch. I sketch to basically calm all the stuff in my mind. Wolfie stole the note. He might have, you know. Sometimes he does that. My little fox friends. And then my rose, right? A rose by any other name smells just as sweet. That situation. You know, and I love dragons. So just saying. Oh, thank you, Kev's Collectible Spot. I've been getting better. I love tree houses a lot. So, it was called Girls' Night Out. Okay, thank you, Scrace. We will get that story. And also, I think on that date, Kara, I think she has a crush on Hal Jordan, right? And who wouldn't have a crush on Hal Jordan? You know, he's like a fighter pilot, doesn't have any fear. You know, it's just that, I think. And I think on that date, she talks about Hal, and Nightwing's like, what the heck? What are you talking about, Hal Jordan? When you're with me. We got a griffin, right? I ran out of space for this. I drew him too big for the page. He's supposed to have like the wings. I'm like, oh gosh, I need bigger paper. And then of course, me, Chibi Supergirl. All right, let's get back right into the space age read. I'll talk about the origin story on Thursday, because Thursday is a new moon, so we're going to be doing a reading from Crisis on Infinite Earths, some of my favorite parts of this, as well as we're going to do an analysis of all of the crises that DC has gone through, right? There's Identity Crisis, oh my gosh, there's so many crises, Infinity Crisis, there's also some prophecy in Doomsday Clock that talks about Final Crisis. So it'll be like, we'll map it out. Like, you know how like you have like all those crazy people that have that like huge like corkboard behind them. And they're like, all right, this took place in 1985. It was supposed to be in this world. And then we just map out where we are. Because in this world, we are the creator world, which is world 33. Which is like a tell in a lot of cases, but I won't get into that right now. Scares, I love, right? So I'm all about looking at the deeper esoteric meanings of comic books, right? Because yes, like every good truth, deep truth comes from a parable or story, right? And I've just been that kind of person where like, if I'm bored of it, I'm freaking bored of it. So a lot of stories can be told with the same archetype in just different ways, right? And so I welcome any time we have grand truths about what it's like to be in this reality from like the best, which like Supergirl in the end, unlike Clark, has memory of Krypton, right? So there's this idea of when she becomes Supergirl, has this almost imposter syndrome, right? Of like, okay, I was in stasis for 30 years, and now my little baby cousin is now like this world superhero, and now he's older than me. When I was like, so is this weird thing of like, because Supergirl is technically older than Superman, right? But it's like this idea of what it means to be a woman of tomorrow, which is Millie Alcock is going to be in the latest Supergirl movie, which I'm very much looking forward to. I really loved her in House of Dragons. And yeah, we'll talk about that another time. We didn't start the fire. It was always Rachel. Oh, you're very sweet with that. Okay. So let's continue onward. Let's just begin. Space Age. I haven't actually read this, but it's more of a recent read, right? I think this is from like 2023, 2024 timing, but in an alternate universe, right? So keep that in mind when it comes to all of our heroes. So we begin. Oh my gosh, how trippy is that, you guys? 1985. That's when I was born. I was born in 1985. I'm just starting Freddy Krueger. Don't eat your dragon eggs, Pokey. They're supposed to be hatched in your dreams. Otherwise, you're going to get stomach dragons, like GI grumbles. You too, Orlando? Amazing. There's some 1985. I might be biased, but there's some ish that happened in that year. If you're a Pluto and Scorpio baby, like 1984 to 1993 abouts, we should talk. May 20. Spicy, spicy. Okay. All right. So we're in 1985, you guys. Time travel into the past. Something my father, Jor-El, once told me, that it is better to live with purpose and die by accident than to live by accident and die without purpose. Let me reread that because that was a good one. Because you know what's funny too? Marlon Brando and the fact that he played Jor-El in like the first Superman movies. And I watched this movie the other day. Thanks my hubby for finding this movie. Waltzing with Brando, how he wanted to like build this like secluded island off in the middle of nowhere. And you know what? I was like kind of like, you know what, Marlon Brando? I kind of... the oatmeal. Where do you go here? Let's see here. Okay. I'll say it again. Oh yeah, I'm old, 100%. But you know what? I'm pretty happy about it because I spent a lot of my life with being a manager, being a boss, and having people not respect you. Like being at the hospital, having people think you're the intern when you're the person managing the project. Like, no, this is my meeting. It's like, why do you look so young? I'm like, no. So, but whatever. I'm happy. Well, like, isn't old just a matter of perspective? I can't wait to be like, all right, guys, let's just start so I can actually get through this with you guys. Okay, so 1985. Something that my father, Jor-El, once told me, that it is better to live with purpose and die by accident than to live by accident and die without purpose. No one gets old. I don't think any of that's old. Like any true wizard knows that you can appear to be whatever age you wish once you hit a certain point. So I'd rather have the experience. But yeah, I always love those things where like the guys are like trying to camaraderie. Guys like, oh, you don't age before beauty, right? Why are those things like? Anyways, I think that like a fine wine, some people look better older. Like me and my sister, we were watching. I used to be next door neighbors with my little sister. She now lives in Vancouver, but she loves DC comics as well. I have a lot of comics. Like this comic was originally hers, which I borrowed and then like never gave back. But we used to watch Riverdale together, right? So Riverdale, like the Archie comics. But we're like, oh wow, you know you're old when you like all the dads. Like Skeet Ulrich was like hot, and R.I.P. Luke Perry. Luke Perry, who is Archie's dad, was like, oh, so hot. You stole it. I did not steal it. I borrowed it, and then she gifted me after. She originally borrowed it to me because she's like, you're a wizard, Rachel. You'll appreciate this story from Grant Morrison. I'm like, yes, I did. And then I just never gave it back. Okay, so we have Superman walking. There's no point, he said, in wasting your life clawing for money or fame or approval in living a life that wasn't meant for you. Because when the end finally comes, all of that, everything you've ever considered an accomplishment, is stripped away. And all you have left is who you are. Existence was always so fragile. Every minute, a miracle. And so you can see here Candor in the bottle, right? Candor the Bottle City. One of the very first Supergirl comic books I read, you guys, was actually Supergirl reaching out to Green Lantern for help to find out who really killed Krypton. Because of, I think, Brainiac one of, I think, probably the most like impressive villains out there, like the living AI machine. I'm just in the beginning, Gwen Stacy. I haven't even gotten that far, so let me just keep going so I don't go off on a tangent. So, Bottled City of Candor. And he says, "Goodbye, my friends. How did we not wake up every morning trembling in awe and wonder that we were even here at all?" Rumble. There's a rumble underneath here. I believe he's in the Fortress of Solitude at this point. Jor-El sat on the ruling council of his world. Data module missing. Fortress integrity compromised. Deactivate all alarms, computer, and divert all remaining energy to the living quarters. Clark, it's happening. And yet, he realized that life is a negotiation with forces beyond your control. That, in the end, you have to accept fate on its own terms. Although occasionally it does let you make a counteroffer. I know, Lois. I know. Fortress of Solitude, life cycle complete. Let's see here. I was watching a stand-up when I seen you were live. I had to pause, but my OCD is bugging me. Focusing on one thing at a time situation. Oh, fun. Which stand-up were you watching, Freddie Ruger? I love stand-up stuff. Let's see here. Request me to talk. My OC character, Superman's on. Oh, yeah, I love that. And I think Superman and Lois in some worlds have a daughter named Lara as well. Let's go onward. I think it's also funny, too, that, like, Superman Clark loves the LL, like Lana Lang, Lois Lane, the LL, and, like, the L, like, he's from the House of L, which is, like, what the S also stands for. Just a fun little alliteration there. Okay. Now, even though the end comes for us all, it is possible just for a moment to stick your head above the water like a man lost at sea, if only to shout, "Have I told you how much I love you? Every day. Good. Dad, is everything going to be okay? It's going to be okay, right?" No, Jonathan, it's not. And that's all right. And to do that before plunging forever into the darkness is an act of heroism. Smallville, Kansas, November 1963. So we're going even further back into the past. My other father didn't run a world. He ran a farm. You got the cover story, Clark. Not bad. It's just a school paper, Dad, as he's yawning. And to my frustrated teenage mind, he thought. He thought like a farmer, meaning he thought that you should start small. You should still be proud, Clark. Now, come outside and help me with the hay. And stay that way. All right, so they're working on the farm, hard labor. That's enough for today. I'm spent. I could have the rest done before you got to the porch, you know. Done quick or done right? It's true, right? Don't rush, right? Check your work. Make sure it's good right before you do. That's like good stuff in there, right? That the outside world was something to be avoided. Root beer? I just don't see why I have to waste my life here. You think growing food is a waste of time? No, it's just that I could do so much more. I could save the world, Dad. Save it quick or save it right. There's been plenty of men over the years who told themselves it was their destiny to save the world. And they always made the same mistake. What mistake was that? It was thinking it was theirs to even save in the first place. If the world needs you, it'll let you know. I left home to save the world myself once, you know. It was toward the end of the war. I was sent to help liberate the island of Saipan in 1944. Kent, take a detail clear of the caves. We'd been bombing the Japanese for weeks. They were half-starved and shell-shocked, in sad shape. Surrender! Hands up! We figured we'd round up all the prisoners in an afternoon. One of the prisoners detonated himself, taking the other prisoners and half of our unit with him. I never knew men were capable of such terrible things. Kent, are you alive? And as beaten as they were, they had no thought of surrendering. I knew at that moment we'd have to kill every soldier on that island. And pretty much every structure in Saipan had been destroyed during the shelling. Come out! Come out now! So everyone was home, hiding in the caves. Soldiers and civilians alike never knew who was actually going to come out. One trick we learned was to look for burning cigarettes. So basically he's talking here. I'm going to skip ahead just because I want to get to the whole story. Yes, this is Jonathan Kent, right? So Jonathan and Martha Kent are Clark Kent's adoptive parents, right? Because Jor-El, and I forget his mama's name, and Krypton are of course his biological parents. And I think it goes into like the nature versus nurture situation as well, right? Like how much of you is your upbringing, how much of you are genetics, how much of you are all these other influences, right? That we can't necessarily all explain how it all gets put together. But Clark's dad's basically telling him, like, you know, I don't think Jonathan, of course, doesn't have superpowers, right? So he's doing his best with the fact that you have a child, a son who is capable of great power, but they still need guidance, right? So to quote Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility, right? And that is true amongst all comic books and all superheroes, the lessons of it, right? The military is basically what Jonathan Kent was. He was part of the military before he became a farmer. And it's like, you know, a lot of us who have, you know, a dark past, or maybe have done things in the past you weren't proud of. And then you tell your story to your kids being like, don't do the same mistakes I did, son, because look at all the stuff I did. But people do have to be allowed to make their own mistakes. However, your story is still valid, right? And so it's just a matter of, John Kent was talking about what he did in the military, and I don't think he feels good about it, right? And just saying that oftentimes these wars are fought because people have good intentions, right? People want to save the world. And because people are trying to go towards one type of utopia, which is personalized, right? Or think that they own the world, or that they own these places, or that it's theirs to save for themselves, right? There has to be a higher calling when it comes to helping the world, right? And I think he's just trying to make a point that being a farmer and growing food, there is nobility in that. There is something of value in that character role in life, even though like you're not on like having accolades, or like you're on the front of a paper or things like that, right? So I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit. This is Space Age Superman. So I'm just gonna read you guys a synopsis a little bit just to frame it, and then I'm gonna jump way ahead to where the Justice League is here, because that's the fun part. All right, so meet Clark Kent, a young reporter who just learned the world will soon come to an end, and that there's nothing he can do to save it. Sounds like a job for his alter ego, Superman. And after years of standing idle, the young man from Krypton defies the wishes of his fathers to come out to the world as the first superhero of the space age. As each decade passes and new dangers emerge, he wonders whether this will be the one to kill him and everyone he loves. Superman realizes that even good intentions are not without their backlash, as the world transforms into a place as determined to destroy itself as he is to save it. So it's interesting, right? So, where are we here? Because Crisis, in this story, right, in 1985, I think what this story is basically telling is the story of like a world that basically ends in 1985 and what that kind of looks like, right? Because you have a certain version of the future or the first certain version of reality that's the setting of this story. Let's see here. My soon-to-be brother-in-law is another my... Okay. Oh, that's cool. Car not born yet. Not yet. Yeah, we're back in time. But you know what? Like, once a thing happens, it's always happened. Like, we're just perceiving. But yes, just because you're not born doesn't mean you're not alive, right? In some sort of way. I'm just going to go ahead. X-Corp Tower. This deals with a lot of... as I told you guys, the DC bombshells, the universe that they are in, the alternate world that they're in, it's very similar to that. And then they have a story in there about how in this universe, Batman's parents don't get killed. They stay alive. So like, how does Batman become Batman without that happening, right? Catwoman, who ends up meeting a time traveler, knows that they need a Batman in that world. So she reaches out to Bruce Wayne to train him to be Batman. Just kind of like a weird, it's like a cool story. I like it. I'll come back to it. I need to find it. I got that one also from the library as opposed to owning that story as well. So I'm going to jump to the center of the book. We're going to Earth 832654-Z. So for some reason, I thought this was like part of like Earth 2 because in the Legion of Superheroes, where Krypto's really from is that world of Earth 2 where Superboy grows up to be Superman and Krypto is with him most of the time. So Earth 832654-Z, and Superman saying, why do I stay, rather, on a planet that's been destroyed as punishment for my failure to save them, to save my home? And why do I keep talking to myself? Is it because I have no one else to talk to? Or is it because the moment I stop, the sound of speech disappears from the earth forever? Whoa. Hi, Laura. I hope you're doing well too. Been a moment. I'm just reading some Superman Space Age before we go to bed. Because you crazy Superman. I know, it's right. Unfreaking believable. So you can see here too, like that Brainiac flying in the corner panel up there. You've got a lot of nerve coming back here. There's no time for your feckless sentimentality, says Brainiac. I stripped this world of its natural resources, its oceans, its biosphere, because this universe is about to come to an end. Where are we? I took nothing that wasn't about to be destroyed. So I don't know how Brainiac knows this. Probably because he has like probabilities and such. He does look pretty cool here though, being all bad guy and such. Where are we? But I have returned to tell you, I have discovered a method of traveling between universes. I am amassing materials, weapons, and fighters in order to make a stand. To stop the anti-monitor who will destroy this and every other universe he comes to. So I was correct, you guys. This is the story of what happens to this world before this happens. The anti-monitor, right? In the world where Supergirl goes to the future and she's part of the Legion of Superheroes, in the movie Crisis on Infinite Earths, the animated version, they make it so that they destroy the world that Supergirl comes from, and her best friends Dawnstar and Brainiac literally like fade from existence, which is kind of traumatizing, Really, Alex, thank you for the heart me. Welcome to the live. I'm Supergirl. I'm reading you guys Superman Space Age, which now I've realized is the story of a world that ends up dying as a result of the events of Crisis on Infinite Earths in 1985, which we now know. So the Earth is now a barren wasteland. Gwen Stacy, you're so funny. Clark's talking to himself. He's like, oh my gosh, if I stop talking, does that mean sound frequency will be gone forever? I don't know about that. It's the same question of like, if a tree falls in the forest, does it make it, and no one's around to hear it, does it make a sound? Yeah, I think it does. But that's like, who would know? No one was there, right? I think you just have to ask the tree. The other trees, I mean. All right. I've discovered a method of traveling between universes, and Jonathan, thanks for the gift. Traveling between universes, I am amassing materials, weapons, and fighters in order to make a stand to stop the Anti-Monitor who will destroy this and every other universe that he comes to. What do you want, anyway? I returned to ask you, says Brainiac, to join me. Oh, interesting. Well, there's no one really else there, Clark. I don't know what else you're going to do. And he's like, why would I ever? What would make you even think I would consider joining forces with you after all that you've done here? Your emotional outburst is unbecoming. Perhaps I was wrong about you. No matter. There are other universes, other Earths, other Kryptonians. You took everything from me, says Clark to Brainiac. Not true. I left you your fortress, says Brainiac. And he flies off, all sketchy. And then Clark says in his inner monologue, he's right. And perhaps he left the Fortress of Solitude intact, knowing that I have enough compressed hydrogen, freeze-dried soil, and seeds in order to rebuild the planet. I guess it helps that your dad was a farmer, right? You can reseed the world, baby. Hey, Philip. Hi. How's it going? Welcome. And Bostroy. Hi. I am Kara Zorel. We're doing a look at the space age in prep for the new moon on Thursday. And we're going to be doing a revisitation of Crisis on Infinite Earths. Yeah. So thanks for joining. We're going to be going for another, I keep banging into the plane, another 20 minutes, and then I'll wrap for today. Yes, Gwen Stacy, what is your question, my love? Oh my goodness, I've been trying to organize all of my stuff. I'm revamping a lot of things as it comes to stuff for Christmas, like cosplay calendars and images and all that kind of stuff, because my hard drive was a complete mess. I was like one of those hoarders of things, right? You know, they hoard all like your clips and content and pictures, but it's like wasn't in any organized fashion. So as soon as I get that all completely organized, I will give you guys who have been like my long-term supporters some freebies when it comes to that, once like all that kind of hits. So I also do have some dragon eggs that I have a form that you guys can fill out that I will message you guys later who have talked to you about getting the free dragon egg. So just a way of how I can get it shipped out to you as well. So where are we? Okay, let's continue onward. Reading Space Age, Superman, and I hope you guys will also join me on Thursday for a read of Crisis on Infinite Earths. And it'll be a 2-hour special for the new moon. We're going to do, the first hour will be reads from this series from 1985. And then part 2 will be to discuss, you know, all the different crises. So please do get subscribed, you know, so you can get tuned to all of that. And as I organize all of like the previous readings that I've done, like Doomsday Clock, which I've already read, as well as the history of the entire Marvel Universe as Jean Grey. I've done some Sorcerer Supreme readings, as well as Zatanna stuff. So like a lot of Oh, we got some Superman fans. Thank you guys, Nuva. Supergirl's not actually in this story, but this is like a preamble of one of the worlds that gets destroyed in Crisis on Infinite Earths from their perspective, right? Like, what it would be like to know that your world is about to end, right? What does that mean? And so that's what I really want to get to you guys, because there's, even though, like, it's like those stories like Halo Reach or Star Wars Rogue One, right? Where you know the planet is doomed because you know how the story goes, because you already know how this ends. Like, they get the plans to Princess Leia, right, for the Death Star, but it's at the cost of that planet going up. So, oh, don't worry about that, Gwen Stacy. I'll figure out a way for you to get all that. I'm pretty sure there's a way for me to give out freebies, and if there isn't, I'll figure out something. Don't worry. Where are we? Okay, so Brainiac, the world has been basically decimated. Clark's like, I'm not going to work with you, Brainiac. You're nuts. But he's like, oh, I can reseed the planet, so I'm going to do that. But then he thinks to himself, but what's the point? Oh, when there's no one to build it for because everyone's gone. It's kind of depressing. So where are they now? Okay. Are the only people left the Justice League? Because that's kind of crazy. So we're in the Hall of Justice. Do you have to do that here? And then you see the Flash. What is the Flash doing? Oh my gosh. It looks like he was like preparing. I thought, I was like, are you preparing a bong hit? Is that what that is? No. Oh. So Flash says, kinda. My bomb closet is full, so I need to diffuse a few to make more room. Oh my gosh, because that's a normal thing to do, Flash. And then Wonder Woman says to Flash, like, you have a bomb closet? And then Aquaman says, I think the red wire goes first. And then Batman says, I'm here for just 1 hour. Like, I don't even want to be here right now with you guys. The clock is ticking. Agreed. Yeah, I agree. It's interesting too because Batman's actually in Aries, but I have a feeling his moon's in Scorpio. He's got like that Scorpio from the shadows kind of situation going on. And then Hal, Green Lantern, holds up his hand, says, could I get everyone's attention, please? Just for a moment. This is sort of important. There's an artificial life form known to strip whole worlds of their resources. And it's coming here. He's talking about Brainiac. The being is known colloquially among the Green Lantern Corps as Brainiac. I'm guessing that they call him that because they're used to being outsmarted by him. Space villain, non-flying heroes are excused, right? Oh my gosh, that's so funny. It's like this Justice League is like, oh, I don't want to. Is that Flash saying that? Oh yeah, if it's a space villain, are the non-flying heroes excused from this mission? Please. Thomas and Who Laughs. Let's see here. Oh, hi, Gun Bitch. Welcome to the read. It depends on which Batman. Well, I mean, there are at least 52 Batmans or versions of Batman in terms of that archetype, right? According to DC Comics, if not more, because this looks like it's almost like a sub-world of a world. I mean, because the way that's even talked about in Crisis, we'll review it on Thursday, but there's a whole sidebar at the bottom that talks about like all these different worlds that are no longer existent, right? Can you imagine if you're like the biggest fan of that world? Like Legion of Superheroes went through a huge like upheaval in terms of all of their stories, right? I'm going to talk a little bit about that as well, because when I went to the library here, I took pictures of some of their reference material that I wasn't allowed to take out. But they were kind enough to let me take pics. You know what? I might actually be able to do a live read in that library at some point in time. And hopefully our premiere doesn't pass a freaking bill that ends up tearing down the whole building to put up yet another condo in Toronto. So more on how I'm going to help stop that Soon, hopefully. Hi, Joe. Oh, and Batman Who Laughs is canon. Oh, yeah, Batman Who Laughs is intense. I think... Wait. There's something more to the Batman Who Laughs, I think, as well. There's also, I think, a version of Batman where he's like Dr. Manhattan level power. I'm not speaking... I'm speaking off the top of my head right now. I might be remembering it wrong. Okay. So Flash is like, okay, it's a space villain. Non-flying heroes are excused, right? And Green Lantern, Hal's like, I'm trying to be serious here. He's like, this is serious. If the entire Corps hadn't been able to stop him, then he's going to be able to outclass all of us. Well, this is also too, like when they first create the Justice League, it's known that like Green Lantern, Hal's like, why do I want to join the Justice League when I already am part of like a bigger galactic force, right? But this is for Earth, right? And Earth is a very special place. So if the Earth is destroyed, I'd hate to think it was by something that looked like that, says Flash. Hal's right. Superman interjects. We've only been tested against threats coming from within our own world. We've gotten cocky. But, as my very existence proves, there are things out there, things more powerful than we can yet grasp. It's not enough to simply hope that he doesn't come here. We need to be preparing now. All of us. The threat was big enough that I decided to do some of my own investigation. To connect the dots, you have to first find the dots, as Lois would say. And there are so many dots. I found planet after planet, stripped bare, looted. Whatever did this was magnitudes more powerful than I. For the first time since I was a child, a cold chill went through my body, a sensation most people call fear. And I wondered, is this what people felt when they saw me? Power is the seed from which monsters grow. So how do I convince people that among all the other beings in the universe that they have to worry about, that I am not one of them? The fact that you asked that question, Clark, proves that you're going to be able to prove that. On a planet run by the corrupt and power mad, it wasn't enough to ask people to trust that I was different. I had to show them. Sorry, I'm late, said Superman, flying in. That's okay. I'm beginning to like the heliport. I just wanted to say I understand why you may not trust me. I started doing interviews with the press because I don't want to be a mystery to the human race. I want them to see me for who I am. But it's just hard for me. So, what is your one weakness? Shyness? Well, that and kryptonite. What's kryptonite? I get my powers from the Earth's yellow sun. Krypton, the world I come from, revolved around a red sun. I've been away from Krypton for so long that now the rays of a red sun are poisonous to me. I don't know about that, but I guess in this world, that's what we're going with. Rocks, metal, or maybe specifically the radiation from Rao itself. I'm going to do more on like the Kryptonian dragon gods very soon, because Nightwing, like Dick Grayson Nightwing, he gets his name from a Kryptonian god named Nightwing, right? So, and Kara actually gets her name from the Kryptonian goddess of love and beauty, kind of like Aphrodite or Venus kind of situation. There's also a Laura, I think. Lucky, Jack, and Jay, my fave superhero. I love Superman. I love Supergirl. And I don't know if they're my favorite because I have a few favorites, but for the purposes of this question and this conversation about Superman, is that I really appreciate the characters that, you know, even though you have your back pushed up against the wall, even though you have everything against you, they'll always do the right thing, right? And even when it's hard, right? Oh, and thanks, Mexican Batman. Thanks for joining, superhero friends. This is the Space Age with Supergirl, Kara Zor-El. Welcome. We're going to skip maybe ahead a little bit more. He's talking about crypto. I don't know if he should readily let everyone know he's, you know, weak to kryptonite, because then evil guys like Lex Luthor can take advantage of that, right? Let me keep on going here. I'm going to switch ahead. Actually, you know what? I want to get this. We'll read here. Okay. We're going to jump forward in time a little bit for the purposes of the reading. Yes, you get to see Mama Jean later today, because we're going to talk a little bit about the X-Men, your genes, the gene keys, that kind of stuff. So let's keep going. We're now in annual housing for the poor fundraiser at Wayne Manor in this world. Welcome, Mr. Lord. Subtle get-up, Bruce. Can I call you Maxie? I'm going to call you Maxie. Hey, everybody, this guy right here, he's making me rich as gravy. I'm glad you could make it, Maxie. Anything for a good cause, Bruce. I am as committed to building a better Gotham as your... I am as committed to building a better Gotham as your father was. Master Bruce, I don't mean to bother you, but a security alarm has been tripped at our southern perimeter. Oh, probably just a coyote. Be right back, Maxie. Oh my gosh. Like, look at how flamboyant Bruce Wayne is. I guess he's kind of like doing that on purpose to like throw people off in this world. Like, he's not Batman. No brooding Bruce Wayne here. He's very flamboyant in this one. A gold tuxedo, sir? Is this prom night? The whole point was to wear something distinctive. And they're switching into Batman very quickly. Come on. Time is of the essence. You know, there's no shame in a clip-on, Alfred. Alfred's probably like, no, tie your own tie, Bruce Wayne. So they're switching outfits here, right? So Bruce Wayne's changing into Batman and saying there's no shame in a clip-on tie. And Alfred says, yes, there is. And so he gets Alfred to put on the gold suit that he was initially wearing. And Batman says, so how does it fit? And this is Batman's inner monologue. You can see here too, right? Because Batman's relationship with the Justice League tends to be pretty tumultuous. So it's interesting to get his inner perspective on things. Justice is a lie that we tell others. All right, tell me how you really feel, Batman. An unheeded prayer for mercy. The weak calling for a timeout that we will never grant them, no matter how much we pretend that we're on their side. Well, you're very Batman. He's like, just a lie. Justice is just a lie. We're not actually going to give them mercy. I do sometimes speak about Clark Kent. He was just here. We're just flipping to, this is basically the end of a world that comes to an end as a result of the Crisis on Infinite Earths storyline with the Anti-Monitor. So it's like from the perspective in time. Oh yes, I've definitely read Watchmen. Joe Bartolozzi. I have some of my favorite lines in comic books, period, are from Watchmen, right? All we ever see of stars are their old photographs, or being the thermodynamic miracle. Some good stuff there from Alan Moore. And Enigma, hey. Oh, I love Enigma mushrooms, by the way. Like Enigma, Riddler. I also read you guys a story once where Riddler was trying to court Batman. I'm trying to find, where are you? I've also read you guys from this, right? The stories of Alan Moore, because Alan Moore, who's written Watchmen, also has written quite a few DC Universe stories. So, and Alan Moore and Grant Morrison, I watched a YouTube video the other day about how, like, they don't like each other and they're like warring wizards. I'm like, but I don't get it. Like, both of those cosmologies and those worlds, they tend to like the same kind of stories about talking about esoteric or deeper meanings of things through the medium of comic books, right? And to quote Alan Moore about comic books, the comic book medium is sublime, right? The comic book industry is effed, that kind of thing. Oh, yes. Okay, let's keep going. So we got Batman switching his flamboyant yellow suit with Alfred. Alfred's judging Batman for, like, wearing a clip-on tie, for it being a clip-on tie. So Batman, he's like, all right, how does it fit, Alfred? He's like, well, it's a little loose, but it'll do, Master Bruce. Thanks. Thank you, Joe. Bartolozzi says, drink water. Thank you for the rose. ×3. So Batman is continuing his inner monologue as he's switching. I don't really know what the plan is here. I guess that's what happens when you switch and jump ahead in the story. He says, the truth is, there is no such thing as justice. There are sometimes consequences. Bruce? Ugh, the party's over. Oh my God, is this a robbery? Do you have any idea whose fundraiser you're crashing right now? Oh my gosh, my mascara is running, you guys. I have a little bit of my smudges on. Oh, it's not too bad. Just the way that... I will get some sleep, Gwen Stacy. We got 2 minutes before we gotta end. So you know what? I'm going to jump ahead. And it's almost 2 a.m. on my end. And so I want to leave you guys with, like... Oh my goodness. I'm going to have to redo this another time. Because you're not going to get the context of how, like, cool this ending part is. Because like, this part, where Superman is, like, going through a portal, right? Let's see here. Universe 832654. Something is entering the portal. Ah, good. Here he comes. As predicted. I project a 99.98875% chance that we were premature in our optimism. That's it, I suppose. The Kryptonian is sealed in that universe forever. Do you suppose we should destroy that? My calculations show that its presence here increases the chaos factor of the coming battle with the Anti-Monitor by 5.263%. All right, I'll take those odds. Come, there are other universes to attend to. Oh my gosh, I have no context here. Clark, your name is Clark. Your mother is Martha. Your father is... Huh? What is that? Come here. It's Kryptonian technology. But how? Come on, let's get you inside. I don't know who, if anyone, is reading this journal. But if someone is reading it, it is probably your universe's version of me. I know that your planet has been destroyed. So if you stuck around, I can only guess that hope is what kept you here. I have sent this capsule to the North Pole of your world in the belief that if you are still there, that you are exactly where you should be. The enclosed memory crystal contains the quantum DNA signatures of as many human beings as I could get from every corner of the earth. This will allow you to recreate everyone recorded on the crystal as they were at the moment I received their quantum DNA. I made it my life's work to save these people, to save what I could of the world that took me in. Clark, what's happening? This is going to require some explanation. I have little hope that this plan will succeed. But then, sometimes, hope is the lie that we can make come true. And then in the Fortress of Solitude, in the end, everything is not as it was meant to be. Everything will not be all right. Data module missing, fortress integrity compromised. Deactivate alarms, computer. Divert any remaining energy to the living quarters. Clark, it's happening. And that's okay. I love you both so much. Lois once asked me what it means to be a hero. And I'm not sure I ever really came up with a good answer for it or not. But the best one I could come up with was this. Is that a hero is someone who never thinks about how much they mean to the world, but realizes just how much the world means to them. And you see here as it all explodes, right? Goodbye. I did the best that I could. And then Earth, Universe 832654-Z. And if by some miracle you are reading this, and this gambit somehow succeeds, say hi to Mom for me, and tell Lois and Jonathan that I love them. So looking up at a statue here. Kind of like what happened in, like, whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow, which in this story, like, Superman, like, dies, right? And they put up a statue in his remembrance. And here you hear Superman, this child here looking up being like, I don't get it. You're still here, Superman. And he looks up being like, well, I suppose I am. Sometimes you save the world, and sometimes the world saves you. As Dad once told me, there's a part of ourselves that's out there, loose in the world, waiting to be discovered. And he's right. What kind of maniac built a statue of himself? And Superman's like, that's not me. I'm going to repeat this part. And then we'll end it. Thank you, Versace Bear, for joining the superhero team. Thanks, Wagner the Cooker. Thank you. Supergirl has become a woman, I guess. It's me, yeah. And then so, let's repeat this part. Sometimes you save the world, and sometimes the world saves you. As Dad once told me, there's a part of ourselves that's out there, loose in the world, waiting to be discovered. And he was right. And that part is what we call love. The end. All right, so I'm going to come back to this and reread it and maybe put together some Cole's notes of it. Some cool variant covers here, right? Love it. Or like, I love the sketches and how they come to life. Wonderful, wonderful. These are some nice covers too. I love like how much work gets put in a lot of these covers that never actually see the front page, right? But it doesn't mean they shouldn't be created, right? So thank you guys for joining me for this read as Kara Zor-El, the last daughter of Krypton, your Supergirl, woman of tomorrow, last daughter of Krypton. Oh, Zaylee. Oh, I love that. And I mean, Supergirl as well coming up. I'm doing a cosplay of Mary Marvel, which you can see. Oops. She's part of the Shazam universe here. I'm going to read you guys from Multiversity again at some point. It's kind of like an anthology where it doesn't seem... You can see here like the Wizard Shazam and the Rock of Eternity. And so, oh my goodness, pages. we got Mary Marvel, who I'm going to be cosplaying as because I have a few comic books where Supergirl deals with Lilith, who's like a demon, and she's split Supergirl from her like cosmic aspect, like the Earth Angel self, from her like more mortal self. So like that relationship between like being an avatar, being a holder of a mantle, and being like Kara versus Supergirl. It talks a lot about that. And also like Mary Marvel's powers. Shazam. The S stands for Selene. The H stands for Hippolyta, who's the queen of the Amazons. The Z stands for Zephyr, the west wind. The A stands for Aphrodite, and the M is Minerva. So it's kind of cool that's in Shazam for Mary Marvel, the female version. The male version has different gods, right? The Z is Zeus. The S, I think, is Solomon. The H is Hercules. So there's some fun stuff there in like the mythology when it comes to DC. So that's kind of cool. So we'll talk about that a little bit on Thursday. So tomorrow, which is actually today, Wednesday, Warrior Wednesday, baby. Hi, Angel. We're gonna do Jean Grey. So I'm Supergirl right now, but I'm gonna take a little snooze, take a little sleep. I'll see you guys all tomorrow. We're gonna talk a little bit about your beautiful DNA, the beautiful code of the spiral, right? The golden mean, the Fibonacci sequence, and how that all can be encoded in things like comic books, like the X-Men specifically, right? So, yes, Jean Grey will be back. And hopefully I can get the Psy Shield done in time. I've been working on a proper one as opposed to it being, face paint that can be, easily messed up when I go live with you guys. So it'd be nice to have a proper psychic shield to put on, right? Hey, Reed Richards. Hey, how's it going? I actually did this read with you guys earlier. I'm going to bring Spider-Man back a little bit to do the conclusion of it, because this also is a story that deals with the end of the world, right? And I think it's like a big thing for us to learn how to metamorphosize, right? Because think about a butterfly, right? Coming from a caterpillar. The caterpillar is probably going to be pretty freaked out before going into like the cocoon to become goo. But you got to be tough, because in the end of it, you're going to become a beautiful butterfly. So don't freak out so much about the cocooning stage. It's just a sleep, right? It's when things end, things fall away, fall apart so that other things can come together. So because if you have everything just occupying that space, there's only so much you can do. So sometimes the universe works in ways where it feels like very challenging, very difficult, but it's all for a reason. Trust me on that. Okay, guys. Yes, Dark Ages was pretty interesting, and I could always do Marvel Girl. Yes, I want to do the old school Jean Grey Phoenix, with like the mask, the gold and green, that kind of situation. But I really do love Jean Grey a lot in terms of her character. I relate to her a lot, probably the most in Marvel, even though Storm is probably my favorite character. Just like how in the DC world, I'd probably say Batgirl is one of my favorites along with Supergirl, but for very different reasons, right? And so with your own favorites, your own stories that you find resonance with, I encourage you to look at them with like these other lenses as to why you like them, right? And what that means for your own heroic journey in your personal game of life. So with that, remember you guys, it takes true courage for you to be exactly you in the cosmic game of life. So make sure you play as exactly you, because the universe is counting on you. So I'll catch you all tomorrow with Jean Grey, X-Men, to me, my X-Men. But for now, to all of you out there who are walking that superhero path, the universe is counting on you, but no worries. Help is available, and I got your back. Till next time.